Pwede bang mag-low carb kahit mataas ang uric acid? Isa yan sa mga pinaka-common mga tanong whenever we go live sa ating mga episode. So for this morning, sasagutin natin yan. And the answer is simple, yes. Because yung low carb, hindi naman siya nagiging specific sa ibang klaseng macronutrients. It is mainly focusing first in lowering carbohydrates. Bakit natin pabababain yung carbohydrates na yung problema naman natin is uric acid? Because uric acid actually, kahit pa yung alam natin is natataas ito kapag sobra yung protein intake, but sa totoo lang, uric acid is actually a neutral na molecule. It is neutral and it only becomes damaging kapag merong mataas na uric acid sa katawan together with inflammation. And the number one cause of inflammation is actually sugar, carbohydrates. That's why when we lower down our carbohydrates, kahit pa merong hyperuricemia o yung pagtaas ng uric acid, it's not going to have some impact like inflammation tulad ng gouty arthritis or di kaya pagkakaroon ng urate stones. Those crystal formation na nade-deposit sa ating kidneys, sa ating joints, causing pain, causing stone formation are related not just to hyperuricemia o pagtaas ng uric acid, but also goes together with elevated inflammation in the body, pamamaga sa ating katawan. And these inflammation, etong mga pamamaga ito, are seen in the microscopic level. So these are very minute inflammation caused by mostly sobrang pagtaas ng cholesterol and sugar sa ating katawan. And that elevation of cholesterol is also still related to not fatty food intake directly, but on still sugar intake. Bakit sugar parati yung pinoproblema natin? Because when you increase your blood sugar perpetually, parati itong mataas, this can also spike your insulin. And when your insulin is high, it will stop the fat burning process ng katawan. So yung mangyayari, yung taba sa katawan natin, maiimbak, and it will just stock up. Hindi ito magagamit as food, hindi ito magagamit as energy. And this stocked up cholesterol is a main culprit when it comes to inflammation. And it is, again, not directly correlated with fatty intake. That is why people who have been avoiding fatty foods, naglo-low fat na sila, they still have a lot of inflammation in the body because when they did low fat, they also compensated it with a very high carbohydrate intake, high sugar intake. And that elevated in sugar intake is the one causing the problem. Did you know na merong pathway na kung saan kung tumataas yung inyong fructose sa katawan, it is a form of simple sugar. Ito ay magkakaroon din ng pathway na tataas pa rin yung uric acid. Fructose is another form of simple sugar. Pwede natin siyang makuha from fruits because it's a natural sugar ng fruits. But the most important fructose na kailangan natin i-avoid are the ones in our drinks, soft drinks, mga milk tea, yung mga fraps. All of these juices are mostly loaded with what we call as high fructose corn syrup. Ito yung processed crystallized form of fructose na sobra-sobrang nakaka-damage ng ating liver. And when our liver is damaged, everything else is going to sacrifice. That is why kapag merong mataas na uric acid, most likely meron itong kasama ding pagtaas ng SGPT o pagtaas ng creatinine, or for others, hindi naman related sa other enzymes or molecules na related to liver, but it can be related to other organs. I will show you later an example of two of my previous patients, and I will share this with you with permission. Alam nila na i-share natin yung kanilang journey for you to know how these things work. So when it comes to lowering your uric acid, pwedeng mag-low carb, but you have to make sure na when you take in a lot of proteins, when you do low carb, kasi nga, when we lower our carbohydrates, mostly the calories we usually get from carbohydrates, ibig sabihin, yung energy na usually kinukuha natin from carbs, now will be coming from proteins and fats. Now, kung meron pa kayong active na flare, na inflammation, like gouty arthritis, and then urate crystals, merong kidney stones, those needs to be addressed first kasi yon mga end organ damage na. So kailangan muna yon gamutin. You can seek consult with your specialist and or other low carb doctors to help you with it. There are ways to lessen it, the inflammation. Merong mga gamot para yung acute flare, hindi masyadong maging active, hindi masyadong sobrang sakit, hindi debilitating. And also for your kidneys naman, kung eto talaga ay nagkaroon na ng stone, big stones na kailangan na alisin surgically or through shockwave lithotripsy, those can also be done. And for those na merong acute inflammation, hindi rin kailangan bigla-biglang shift na tataasan bigla-bigla yung pagkain ng proteins and other fatty foods. You can just focus first on lowering your carbohydrate in the body. So when you lower down your carbs, you eliminate first the simple sugars, yung mga matatamis, all the honey, sugar, table sugar, brown sugar, muscovado, soft drinks, desserts, mga sweets, all of those removed muna. You will see slowly na yung mga pananakit sa katawan, sa joints will slowly disappear. And if it's not enough, then maybe you can look into the starch component ng inyong kinakain. Starch would include rice, bread, pasta, and mga crackers, kahit yung mga biskwit, yung mga binibili nating pampalipas ng gutom. Mostly, those are carbohydrates. And if hindi pa enough yon, then you can look into your protein intake na nanggagaling sa mga beans, mga seeds, and lentils. So yung mga munggo, yung mga almonds, kahit pa low carb nuts yan, and even cauliflower to some extent can also increase your uric acid. So you can try to avoid that. And kung ito ay i-avoid nyo, ano na lang yung kakainin nyo? You can actually focus more on foods that are low carb but somewhat safe on both sides. So if you are afraid to eat red meat, then you can focus more on white meat, pwedeng fish, pwedeng chicken, whatever that you can eat. You can also get some eggs. And also, you will slowly transition at makikita nyo that your body can slowly adapt. You can look at JGC Rojo food list para makita ninyo. And after that one, the moment na wala na yung inflammation sa katawan, you can now start to increase your protein intake. Kahit red meat pa, in our experience, it actually doesn't interfere much when it comes to uric acid as long as meron siyang condition, as long as you also take in adequate amount of potassium. So ano naman yung kinalaman ng potassium sa ating uric acid? Because potassium will actually neutralize the uric acid in our system in such a way na mas madali natin itong i-excrete or i-eliminate through our urine. Because uric acid is an acidic form by its name, uric acid, and hindi siya madaling naiihi. Our urine, when we regulate it, dapat meron siyang neutralizer so that our body, our kidneys can urinate it. So kung wala siyang parang neutralizer, hindi siya mailalabas ng ating katawan. And potassium citrate can help with that. So with adequate amount of potassium intake and kahit pa tumataas yung uric acid with increased protein intake, it will just normally be passed through and it will normalize over time. Others may take 1 month, 2 months, others 3 months in their journey when it comes to low carb para pababain yung kanilang uric acid. So try to accomplish those tips. So avoid muna yung mga sugar, starch, and then yung mga plant-based na mga proteins. So the beans, lentils, seeds, nuts. So sila muna ang i-avoid. Also, you can avoid the seed oils because those are highly inflammatory. And make sure you are eating adequate amounts of potassium. So with potassium, the very basic is kung kumakain kayo ng maraming ulam na puro ulam lamang, try to pair it with 7 cups of green leafy vegetables per day. So 7 cups of green leafy vegetables will give you a minimum of 3,500 milligrams of potassium. So yun yung adequate amount. So of course, if you can take that, you can get it from other sources. Marami naman. You can search the internet kung ano yung mga foods that are high in potassium, that are low carb. Banana is out. You can just get it from, say, for example, avocado or even eggplant and other green leafy vegetables. Mataas din yon sa potassium to neutralize that hyperuricemia that comes with increased protein intake. And even if you will notice, kahit pa tumataas yung uric acid minsan, you will see na it no longer gives you the flare. Wala na yung flare na sobrang sakit na mga joints because, again, this hyperuricemia is subclinical. It is not affecting you clinically if you do low carb the right way, because low carb will lower down the inflammation and the problems with hyperuricemia or pagtaas ng uric acid is two component. Mataas na uric acid and mataas na inflammation in the body. But lowered inflammation, hyperuricemia can just be insignificant hyperuricemia. But of course, if you want to lower it to normal to be on the safer side, maybe you can think of consulting first properly with your trusted physician or low carb doctors that are knowledgeable when it comes to management of these diseases. Or also, you can just increase your potassium intake. You can get it also from supplements, but of course, as much as possible, we promote getting it from natural sources. So vegetables and avocado, kung meron na, it's going to be your best bet. And this one is a result of my patients, their husbands and wives. So for the longest time, yung husband, mataas yung kanyang creatinine. And then yung kanyang uric acid ay mataas din. For the longest time, I think for more than years, for many years na hindi talaga ito maipababa kahit pa they are already taking medicine to lower it down. Still, hindi siya nag-normalize. And the wife also has elevated uric acid and SGPT and also elevated blood sugar. And only after a month, nakita nila na even if they didn't avoid meat, I even told them that time that they can eat meat, especially na wala naman silang flare, yung active flare ng brought about by gouty arthritis and other forms of uric crystal formation, wala naman. So they were advised to just eat whatever they want as long as it's within our safe list. And that includes meat, that includes fish, chicken, pork, beef, and many more, na even eggs. And after a month only, less than a month actually, yung 8.45 ng husband ay naging 6.9 na lang. And the best part, yung kanyang creatinine that is 1.45 is actually now at 1.1. So it normalized. And the wife also, they've been eating the same thing for the longest time because they're living in the same household. Pareho sila ng kinakain, but you can see here that it's different yung effect. Yung wife, mataas yung SGPT, mataas yung uric acid, dyan lang sila nagkapareho, mataas yung blood sugar, and the wife also had PCOS. Meron siyang PCOS. And this time, gusto nila actually magkaanak. So that's why they seek consult. And even if 2 months pa sana yung aming follow-up, after a month, they did follow up na both because alam nyo ba, the wife already got pregnant in just 1 month time. So, grabe talaga. Sobrang amazing. And also, the SGPT from 44 is now down to, sana yun? SGPT is now down to 33. From 44, it is now down to 33. And the creatinine and the uric acid also lowered down. From 6.8, a little lang, it became 6.7. And also the blood sugar also normalized. Kasi for the longest time, yung blood sugar niya tumataas talaga. So from 113, it's now down to 95. So yes, low carb can be eaten, can be done for those who are having elevated uric acid. And if you are already doing low carb and still having elevated uric acid, maybe it's time for you to do it the guided way. Baka meron kayong mga fine-tuning na kailangan, because sometimes we try to mimic what others are doing, but sometimes it's individual, case-to-case basis. And one thing that can help you is if you know really kung ano yung kailangang mga isipin, kung ano yung kailangang mga i-consider for you to make sure that this kind of low carb, this specific kind of low carb is the best for you. So if you wish to know more, we have an ongoing masterclass for these diseases and many more. And you can just start with our 14-day health optimization program. Kung hindi man, wala pa mang sakit, I think the 14-day health optimization program is your best chances of getting that full pack knowledge, the fundamentals, the foundational knowledge when it comes to low carb nutrition and fasting. So maraming salamat everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I will now go to work and I'll see you again in our next video. And remember to always stay low carb so that we all stay safe. Have a good day.